All right, guys, let's talk about Google Drive. There are 5 features that you need to know about when using Google Drive. Google Drive can be a really powerful platform to share your files, store your files, and work collaboratively with your team. As we jump in, I do want to remind you, if you haven't already, go and hit that subscribe button or give this video a thumbs up. It really does help me and support me in creating videos like this to help your business. Also, if you ever want to catch me live, I do stream every Sunday and Thursday night on Twitch, and you can join me, link in the description below there, to chat live and tell me about the features that you like about Google Drive or anything else. So let's go ahead and jump in. So if you've already seen my Office 365 versus G Suite video, you know that I'm pretty big fan of Google Drive. If you haven't seen it, there's gonna be a link right here. When you have time, go ahead and check it out. But let's talk about the first feature. It's really just the terminology between knowing what the difference between My Drive and Shared Drive. So we're gonna go over that really quickly right now. I want to go over 2 things really quick. So you have My Drive and you have Shared Drives. My Drive is your files that you've started creating or stuff that's been shared with you that you've moved into My Drive. If you have shared folders, they'll show up here. If you have any personal files that you upload, they'll show in here. The shared drives is actually drives that your company owns. So that's why you don't see this part in a personal Gmail account, because these are drives that your company owns and they've shared with you. So they manage permissions in these folders. They manage everything here. So if you do create a shared drive, just remember that the company owns these files, which is a great use case for team folders within your company. And I would highly recommend using shared drives if you don't, to share files with your team rather than sharing a folder in My Drive and then sharing it with your team. Shared drives is much more efficient in that way. So the next 2 features are actually what make Google Drive very powerful, and we're gonna go over both of them right now. So the number 2 is file collaboration, and number 3 is sharing a file with your team so you can collaborate. So we're gonna go ahead and jump in. I'm gonna show you both of those features right now. A little bit is in Google Docs. We're gonna open up, and you can do almost all of these in any of their different platforms: Google Docs, drawing, presentation, sheets. So you can start typing. And what's really cool is that if this is a shared document, you can have other people writing in it at the same time as you. So I'm going to show you how to share the file real quick. So we're going to click share. We're going to do our test user. So they're an editor right now. You can make them a commenter, so they can only make comments and view the file, or you can make them a viewer, so they can't even make comments or edit anything in the file. But I'm going to make them an editor, and we're going to send it. So now what's really cool is they're able to pull up the file and write in the file at the same time as you. In the top right, you'll see the little T for the first initial of the person's name. And if you hover over it, if they're in your org, it tells you a little bit about them. So you can see that if he starts typing, or they will show up on the screen and show you that test user is the one typing. And if I'm typing, I can keep typing here. What gets confusing, if you both try to type at the same spot, then it gets confusing and it kind of jumbles up the document a little bit. So if you see somebody typing or hovered in this spot, you typically don't want to type at the same time as them. What's also really cool inside the document is, you highlight anything, you can add a comment and say, hey, test user, what do you think about this? Should we change the wording? And that you comment, and they'll get, since I tagged them at them, they'll get an email that says, hey, you have a comment, and it'll show them the comment, and they can click on it to view the file. And then they're going to hit reply, and it shows up on yours. And then once a decision has been made, you can go over and click this check mark, and it marks as resolved. And you can see old comments in here if you ever need to. The last thing I want to talk about a little bit is sharing with people without sending them directly. So with a link, you can share with a link. So if you click get link, there's copy link. You can say restricted, and restricted is really only people that you've added above can get it. This next one is the people in your domain. So this is obviously my test one, weird domain, but it's the people inside of your work domain, so your coworkers can see it with the link. If you click anyone with the link, that means literally anybody in the entire world that gets a hold of this link can see this document. So be really careful with sharing that, especially if it's confidential information. You probably, in most use cases, do not want to click this. So I'm going to click our domain and I'm going to click done. And so now if I want to, I could click share. I can click copy the link, and then I can share it with somebody and they will be able to view the document. If you want them to have different permissions, you can do the same thing as the other one. You can give them viewer, commenter, or editor with the link. So be careful with that also. If you don't want people to edit in your domain, don't give them editor permissions. So defaults viewer. If you want to increase permissions, you can. All right, so we talked about sharing files. We're gonna hit the fourth topic, which is shared drives. We talked a little bit about it, but we're gonna go into more depth on creating a shared drive and managing permissions for it right now. So let's hop over and talk about that feature. We talked a little bit about shared drives, but let's go ahead and go back to that. So if you do create a shared drive, we're gonna call it Tech Tips. And this shared drive is only with one person. But you can add, since you created it, you're the manager of the folder, meaning you can give out permissions and assign people to it. So this manages people at the upper main level of the shared drive. So if I want to add my test user and I can give him content manager, manager allows them to manage people. Content manager allows them to basically edit all of the files within the folders. Contributor, they can add and edit files. Commenter, again, they can only comment on the files. In viewer, they can only see it, but they can't even comment on the files. So I actually don't want to send this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder and call it test folder. And I really only want my test user to see this folder inside of here. So I'm going to give him content manager of this folder, and I'm going to send that. I almost forgot. In order for him to see a folder inside of Tech Tips, he does at least have to have viewer permissions on Tech Tips. So we're going to add test user as a viewer, and we're going to send it. The important thing, and what's really important here, is you might want to set up new folders if you have to, because if I create a new folder that says not for test, because he is a viewer on the root folder, he's going to see this, but he won't be able to edit or comment or add any files or folders to this folder. But in this one, since he's a content manager, he will be able to. If you're getting confused, you can always reach out to us. We can help you with this and set up your permissions, or you can reach your own IT department. But I'm going to move on from here for now. All right, and finally, feature number 5 is my favorite part of Google Drive. It's definitely a Google Drive file stream. So I'm going to hop over onto my computer and I'm going to show you really quickly where you can download it and how you can make files available offline. That's really important if you're going to be editing large video files or doing graphic design. Make sure you turn those files offline so you don't get weird errors as the file's loading up, but the program's already expecting it to be there. So let's hop in right now and I'll show you how to do that. Is that they have what's called Drive File Stream. As a business, you can download this. So I'm going to post this link in the description below, but you can scroll down and pick your Windows or Mac version and download Drive File Stream. And so what it's going to do is you're going to go through a setup and log in, and then it's going to create in your desktop a folder called Google Drive, and it's going to show your My Drive and shared drives here. The reason it's called File Stream is because it streams the files to your computer, so they're always available if you're online. If you want something offline, I'm going to go into my shared drives. I could right click on marketing and say Drive File Stream available offline. What that would do, and you can do this on files or folders, is it makes it always available even when you're offline. And if you're working on really large files, like doing design or video editing, you have to have it available offline for that to work. So this is one of my favorite features. I love this feature. So if you're not using it, you probably should. I just want to say thank you again for joining me. I appreciate you taking your time and looking at these Google Drive features. I really do hope that some of them help you out and working with your team. If you do have any other questions, remember, drop a comment below, let me know, and I will see you guys next time.